No seesaw. Hi guys, welcome to the shit show. I'm your hostess Tammy. Okay, I think I'm a little more collected. No wig today. I got my do-rag on because it's just one of those days. Um, so a lot has happened since last week when I first told you about the death of my husband, and now I got some information. Only because I had to go through it. you know, I have to tell you, nobody's going to give you anything for free. I'm just saying. So anyway, I'm all natural except for eyebrows, and that's going to be a subject because, real quick here, I'm going to go off subject. I had a unibrow as a kid. I'm talking Brooke Shields, and us who are in our 60s know who she is and what she looked like as a young girl. I had to pluck my eyebrows. I looked like a hairy mammoth. Well, over the years, my hair was so red-brown that my eyebrows were naturally dark and I didn't worry about it. Well, now, as you can see from the side, my hair is gray and light red-brown. And my eyebrows are all gray. And they've disappeared. Well, unfortunately for me, over the years, all I ever had to do was pluck my eyebrows. I did it every day when I was putting on my makeup. Then one day I woke up, I had no eyebrows. I was like, well, what the fuck happened to my eyebrows? And I asked my husband, how long have I been without eyebrows? You know? As an old person, you don't tend to put on makeup every day. I'm just learning some of the new tricks and trades that these girls are showing. And I still don't wear that much makeup. So, I never have. So anyway, that's just a little tidbit off camera, and we'll talk about learning how to put on eyebrows, because I think for us senior females, yeah, instead of looking like an alien, right, we need some eyebrows. So anyway, say good morning to Sis McGiss. Hi McGiss. Hi McGiss. Oh, I love you too, baby girl. That's my little angel baby. Still allergic as all hell to her, but yeah, loading up on the antihistamines because I'm not getting rid of her. I mean, the face, guys. How could you get rid of that? And the way she looks at me is just pure love, She is perfect timing for me. And I've had one dog that I had a soulmate. I called him my soulmate. And he was a pit bull. He passed away in 2000, and I've been heartbroken ever since. And the bond with him was so close that I didn't even I'd just point and he knew what I wanted him to do. So that's why I kind of fostered all these years. Just saying. And then along came McGiss. Sis McGiss. My manager goes, well, what do you call her? I said, Sis McGiss. And she goes, can't you shorten that? I said, I guess you could call her Sis if you want. But she likes it when I call her Sis McGiss. She gets excited. Okay, so let's get back to the death thing. I'm a little more pulled together this week. So when your spouse dies, the hospice, if you're with a hospice, will issue you death certificates. And you'll get two, and then you get one that says for government use only. I still haven't figured out what that one's for. And they mail it to you. Mine got lost. I am not shitting you. Mine first went to Sun City, which is another little, it's an old folks place, kind of like for richer old people retiring here in Arizona. Sun City is essentially for 55 and older. So my death certificates went there first, and they were returned because, of course, I wasn't there. So then I called them, we tracked it down, they sent it to my apartments. My mailroom was not open that day because it happened to be the 4th of July, a Saturday after the 4th, and my office was closed. So they sent it back to the post office instead of bringing it up to my apartment, because I had to sign for that, which I thought they brought it to your door. Yeah, if you had to sign for it, but no, they don't. Eventually, by Wednesday, we had tracked down my package enough that Thursday I could go pick it up at the post office, which was quite the feat for me because I had to walk 4 blocks. Yeah, I'm on a walker, guys, remember? Anyway, I finally get it. I go to the bank and I tell them that my husband passed and I was there to collect what money was in his accounts. And they pull it up and they say, yes, you were his beneficiary and you have death certificates. And I said, yes, I got him that. His check had been deposited for July. My husband died June 20th. So his check for July had been deposited. Well, I assumed, as my husband did, because he said, Tammy, make sure you get that check out. So I assumed, as he did, that I would receive that money. No. I walked after 5 hours, and I am not shitting you, Chase. Really? You can't make this a little faster? Anyway, after 5 hours of them opening this account, closing this account, putting this account $1 million in debt, they jacked this account around so many times, I was scared and called Social Security to make so sure that Social Security got the money back. You will not get that money back. That goes right back to Social Security. Please don't keep it. That's a federal offense. Just saying. So I did call Social Security. And I said, I don't know if you know this yet, but my husband has passed. And I gave him all that information. I verified with Social Security that, yes, Chase had returned that payment from July 1st. And then I talked to them about the $255 death benefit that survivors get if you live with your husband or your wife. So she told me that. She goes, well, you guys didn't live together. And I said, no, we didn't. We didn't want to live together. You know, I didn't go into the whole thing that he was abusive and yada, yada, yada. But no, we did not live together. I took care of him. I'm taking care of his final bills. I took care of his funeral. You know, I took care of the U-Haul and moving his apartment. I'd like to be compensated in some way. You know, that's what I told her. So she set me up with an appointment for Social Security on the 1st. And I've read up on it. And you guys, if you're not living with your spouse at the time of death, then you don't get the little measly $255. Social Security hasn't raised that since 1956. That's all anybody has ever received. It used to be a lot more. It used to be like half of the benefit. But yeah, all you get is a measly little $255, and you've got to meet all this criteria. And be ready to have your birth certificate, his birth certificate, his death certificate, your marriage certificate, and your ID, because you're going to ship it to them. And you're shipping the originals, and they will ship the originals back. Not worth it. Even if I was eligible for that $255, I don't know that that's worth it. Yeah. And all I got to say is that little agreement that me and him made about getting married and taking care of each other in the end, I'm the one who, yeah, I'm the one who's, yeah, not going to have nobody. He got everything he wanted. I made sure of it. So, just beware. Then they asked me, I was entitled to his Social Security monthly benefit. That I was, regardless if you're living together or not. If you are married, and he makes more than you or she makes more than you, you're entitled to claim that. But as it stands, I make like $500 more a month than he did. So I told them straight out, I will not be claiming his. I'm happy with what I get. You know, just saying. I mean, you know, Social Security was, when they made us turn in our gold and silver, it was meant as a retirement fund for American citizens. And it's anything but, really. They don't help with funeral expenses. They don't help with any, they even take the final check. Now they say, well, he's paid in reverse. In other words, he's got to work the month, i.e., he would have to work all of June to get your July payment. Well, let's prorate that. He was here 20 days of that month, but they don't do that either. So we talked about it last time. Find somebody to get life insurance through, even if it's that one where you pay $10 a month. My husband did leave me with some money that he had stashed at his house. He told me where it was and to get it, and I did. But the point is that if you don't have backup money, if you don't have an insurance policy, the state will bury you. They will. They'll cremate you only. And I'll bring up, that has to do with this hospice that I talked about last time. They'll cremate you. Yeah, and they rotate the mortuary, so you never know which one's going to be the one cremating the body. But if you don't believe in cremation like I don't, and my husband didn't, you're a shit out of luck. That's how they got us in that hospice. They lied to us and said they did burials for the poor, because it's called Potter's Hill. Poor people, like bums and stuff, they have to have some place to bury them. Well, now they just soon cremate you, but they still go after the family, which hospice did not tell us that either. Because I asked him, what do I have to pay out of pocket to have him buried? Because under the assumption that I had, they said, oh, no, you don't have to pay anything. So when my husband agreed to go in, and I agreed to put him there in that hospice, we were under the assumption that he would be buried, and that all the burial arrangements had been set up until the day he got there. And he was so angry. I thought that man who was dying was going to get up off that bed and walk out of there. He was furious. And he looked at me and he said, do what you can do. And that was saying, if you can't bury me, go ahead and cremate me. But she told me straight out, oh, they'll cremate him, but they're going to go after you and any other family that's left to pay that cremation bill. So imperative, you guys, to have insurance. So that's why I was so pissed off at this place. Not only that, I told her, I said, he's got 2 sons coming to visit him from Vegas. Ask them. Talk to them about this. They might have something that they can contribute and we can get him buried. And she said, by law, I can't do that. Do you know that bitch went behind my back the very day that my stepsons were in there to visit their dying father and approached them about paying for that cremation? And the boys knew their dad didn't want to be cremated. And it was them that found the Jewish Burial Foundation. Now, yeah. And then when I was having my husband shipped to New York, he passed. I was there. I was signing the paperwork. I contacted the lady, head of the Jewish Foundation, said he passed. Let's get the paperwork. Let's get this rolling, because according to Jewish custom, he had to be buried that night before dusk or the next night before dusk. I said, we got to get him to New York. We got to get his last there now. So I signed the paperwork, and the head of the place comes up to me and she goes, do you realize you signed papers to have him shipped out of Arizona? I said, so? And she said, well, I don't feel comfortable with that. And I told you this story. She has no right to approach any spouse or child of a deceased and give her opinion in any way. In any way. So, I don't know how these people get away with the lies and everything else, because I'll tell you what, if my husband had known that they were lying to him about the burial, he wouldn't have went there. And I did tell him, you'll be dead in 3 days. You don't stay 4 days in hospice. And sure enough, he was dead before the 4th day. So, that's why I was so upset with that hospice. And I'm not done with them. I'm not. So anyway, back to the death benefit of $255. Okay. So the $255 can be claimed by his children. Now, I didn't read into it that much, so I would suggest that if you are in my position where you and your husband lived apart and they won't let you claim the $255, have your children or their children contact Social Security and see if it might be claimed by them, because that's a right he has as a Social Security recipient, that somebody get that benefit. And Social Security will sit on it. They won't even tell you that you have that company. They're not going to offer any information about extra money to anybody. I'm just saying. So, do know that I don't know to the extent if they have to be 18 or under, or they have to be in school. I don't know the criteria, but I do know that what I read said that the children would be able to apply for it, and you have to apply for that. That's what I'm going through right now. Yeah, I'm just going to tell them on the first. Sorry to bother you. Changed my mind. we weren't living together, and you know what? I don't regret it. I don't regret not living with him. He was very abusive, and I'm not trying to talk bad about the dead. I talked about him on this channel years ago. I sure did. So, and I don't feel Social Security has a right to know our reasons why we didn't live together. So their damn business. So, just saying. So after that, I finally got his stuff in my house and put away. Unfortunately, since, you know what I got out of his two accounts, you guys? $3.87. And I was put on there as his beneficiary. So they had no problem giving me the $3.87. That's what I got from my husband's checking account. But like I said, my husband had savings within his personal reach that I got. So, yeah, I don't feel slighted, but I laughed. You know, they're like, "Do you want a cashier's check? Are you serious?" I said, "No, just give me cash. What the hell? You know? Holy shit." I said, and I'm going to tell you, my appointment, the third time I went in there, my appointment was for 9 a.m. and they said I could sit there until 10. Guys, I didn't get out of there until noon. Now, I don't know why Chase takes so long, and I told him, this is ridiculous. If I was getting $1 million, I would be upset for having to sit here for 3 hours when all you have to do is close the damn account. I mean, come on, how hard is that? It's a button. You know, I worked in finance, push the damn button, close the account. You know? So, that was my inheritance. Yeah. Anyway, you know, in the end, I kept my promises to Elliot. And he's the only one that mattered at this point in life. No, I'm not going to cry. I'm tired of crying. You know what? My friend Dee Dee, oh, I got to tell you about that one. I told her not to come around for a while. Not only that, I caught her taking money from my house. Broke my heart. Because I have fed him. I've given him cigarettes. I've given him coffee, toilet paper, oil. And then to take from me. It's, you know, I have cameras inside my house. And I caught her on camera. I didn't even catch her, you guys. I was heartbroken. I'm so mad at her, I still can't talk to her. She comes to my door, I tell her, go the fuck away. Woo, girl, I'm pissed. I think I'm more hurt than pissed. So anyway, yeah. So that, I am enjoying my time alone with me and my little dog. Time to reflect, I think. Yeah, I've known Elliot since 1982. We've been through a lot together. I knew his wife, his first wife. Matter of fact, when she was dying of cancer, she stayed at my house. Because her own son wouldn't let her stay at his house. Nobody would. And I let her stay with me until she got aggressive and started breaking my shit. And then she had to go. You're out. Anyway, and why her husband, and they were still married, was in the room with me because they were separated. So, yeah, that was a freaky setup. Oh, no. I mean, you guys, I could write a book. Elliot used to say, Tammy, you could write a book about your life. And absolutely so. Absolutely so. So another thing that I found with my husband dying are people who come out of the woodwork. Oh, I was this to him, and I was that to him, and yada, yada, yada. Well, when me and my husband were together, and he was on Facebook, he went through his Facebook one time. He said, I know this person from New York. I know this person from here. I grew up with this person. This person was my first love. She left me for my best friend. And this person had a crush on me my whole life, but I was never interested. And that's the person I'm going to talk to you about right now. Her name is Cheryl. So I get contacted by Cheryl, and Cheryl obviously didn't realize that my husband had told me about her. Yeah, she never married. She had the worst crush on him. She never married. She lives in Florida, and she works with rescuing animals, which I think is awesome. Yeah. And at one time we were even friends on Facebook until I guess the jealousy got the better of her. But she hit me up like I didn't know who she was. And she said to me, well, I was Elliot's first love and he was my first love. And I said, oh, really? Are you the one who left him for his best friend? Because that's his first love. That's what he told me. And I said that for one reason, because that wasn't her. That was another lady named Carol. So she would know that I knew that he never was in love with her. But in the same breath, I said, well, if it really means that much to you, my husband is buried in New York City, in Staten Island, New York. And she goes, well, I'm in New Jersey. I said, well, here. This is where he's buried. Go visit him. What the fuck? You know, you get people coming out of everywhere, you know? And people, look, if you pass away and you're married and you got something on your phone you shouldn't have, or something on one of your social sites that you shouldn't have, my suggestion is get rid of it when you get sick. Because you know what? I was able to go through and read all of the information, all the contacts, all the conversations that my husband had, before he died. Now, my husband told me that he had been a good boy since 2024. And according to his messages, yeah, pretty much. He did meet a girl on a bus that he was flirting with, but she was married, but that never stopped him. That never stopped Elliot in the past. He didn't care if you were married or not. But he did meet a female, a very nice girl. She contacted me and said she was sorry. She didn't know he had a wife. She didn't know he had a wife that had the same spiritual beliefs as him even. So you have to understand that even though you're married, and they're going to find out stuff. And if you don't want them to find out stuff, delete it. That's all I got to say. Now, I'm also going to say to you guys, it didn't bother me. I fell out of love with my husband in 2017 for him cheating and giving me STDs. I talked about this on my other channel. And again, I'm not talking about the dead, and I'm not saying anything I haven't said on this platform before. But I fell out of love with him, and he wouldn't let it go. And in 2019, after his first wife passed, in 2018, he moved here against my better judgment. And I told him, you might as well just stay in Vegas, you know. But when he got here, I told him, I'm not in love with you anymore. I love you. You're the father of my firstborn, but I'm not in love with you anymore. And I said, that's all I can offer you is friendship. And you guys, that's all I did offer him, and that's all I could give him. I'm not one to lie to somebody, because I think everybody has a right to find love and somebody to love them. So the whole thing about if you're doing something you shouldn't do behind your partner's back, delete it, really didn't pertain to me and Elliot, because we are both living in separate houses. I didn't give a shit what he did. I'm going to really be truthful. Actually, it would have been nice if some of the people would have popped up and helped me take care of him. I'm sweating, not crying. Some of those people would have popped up and helped me take care of him in the end weeks and months, because that really kicked my ass. Sheesh. I mean, for reals. So, yeah, just delete it. And you guys, be prepared. You're going to have idiots coming out of the woodwork. Everywhere. 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 And you know what? I have to tell you. No, I was not in love with Elliot anymore, but I loved him dearly. And it hurt just as bad losing him. It was like losing a sibling that I had known my whole life. Because 1982 was a long time ago. I was just a girl. I was like 22 or 23 at the time. He was 8 years older than me. It was before his first child with his wife was ever born. We were good friends. It started out as a friendship, and it ended as a friendship. And that's the best thing. Absolutely. And I think that once you've been together with somebody for so many years anyway, I think friendship, that unconditional love, that you love them, it's not a lustful love. It's unconditional. And I had forgiven him long ago for the shit he did to me. So I don't even know if I'm going to be angry. I know there are certain steps to mourning, you know. I don't know if I'll go through the anger, because I don't have any anger toward him. We both knew he was dying. I was angry when I thought he was forcing me to find him dead in his apartment. That pissed me right off. It hurt my feelings. Why would you do that to me? You know? But it ended up not being that way. My father took care of that. Absolutely. He was very much alive when I found him. Yeah. He was dying. He was dying right there on that toilet. And he did crash the minute they got him to the hospital. But the point is I don't have anything to be angry about. No. And if I had to spend money above and beyond what he left me, and I'm not talking about the $3.87, then so be it. You know, he was a good person. That's how I feel about it. And his son paid for his burial. I didn't have to pay for it. Now, it was only like $1,500 through the Jewish Burial Foundation, which is wonderful. So if you're of that faith, that's out there. That's a resource for you. But his son stepped up and paid that. Not even the other son, the younger of the two. An incredible young man. Beautiful voice, taken after his father. So, I hope not in all the ways of his father, but voice-wise and music-wise and creativity, absolutely. So, I think the hardest part about Elliot dying, because the day he died, I was extremely calm. I mean, I was washing his face, talking to him, kissing him on his forehead, and then he was just gone. And it didn't bother me as bad as I thought it would. I knew he wasn't in there anymore. I'm not crying, I'm not upset. I knew he wasn't in there anymore. I knew he had left that body. I almost could feel that he wasn't in there. I felt him in that room, though. I could tell you that. But I felt the calmness. Absolutely. So, as time goes on for us, and we get ready to accept our own passing, whoever is in your life or not, if you're alone like I am, my children are not in my world, I have to provide for myself. Will I leave any of the leftover money to any of my children? Oh, hell no. Hell no. No, you want to treat me like shit for the last 20 years of my life? No, I don't think so. No, But I'll just spend it all on me, on my funeral. That's how I look at it. Yeah. Would I want to be buried next to Elliot? No, absolutely not. I don't know anybody in New York. I'm born and raised Phoenix. This is my hometown. Do I care if people come visit that body? No, I don't. I'm not in there anymore. That's why I keep telling people he's not in there. he's done gone on. Yeah, he's out of there. So provide for yourself for your burial. Like I said, I've been researching it. Hopefully I live for at least 2 more years, because all of them, they don't mature for 2 years. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, I got 2 more years. That way I can too be buried and not be cremated. Because like I said, my children are not in my life, so they're just going to burn me if I don't have insurance of some sort to take care of that. Okay, so I am doing better, you guys. Yeah, the hardest part was watching him die. I knew he was dying. He knew he was dying. But he was so stubborn. Yeah, the last time I seen him was on a Tuesday. I found him on a Friday, and he couldn't even lift the coffee to take his medicine. I had to help him. I begged him at that time and cried, please, go to the hospital. No. And then I found out management, my allergies are killing me. Dog. Management had to go up one of those days on a Wednesday, the very next day, and help him off the floor because he had fell. And then the toilet thing. He couldn't even get up off the toilet. He was so weak. So, yeah. Don't do that to your loved ones. If they agree to take you in as hospice, and I did, because the one thing about hospice, it wouldn't be walking in, finding him dead. It would be just like it was at the hospice. I was there when he passed, when he took his last breath. It would have been like that in my own home. It's a whole different scenario than walking in blind when you're there to see somebody, make them lunch, go shopping for them, and then be dead. And could be for days. I was not happy with that. I was very upset about it. But my Father in heaven had different ideas, and I appreciate it. So as I lived life as a widow, I lived life as a single girl, because that marriage was nothing but a marriage of convenience, and it wasn't even convenient for me. Figures he would go first. I didn't think I'd make it through last year, you guys. As a matter of fact, in my birthday in 2023, I was in the hospital. I'd lost, they thought I had a stroke. I was out boondocking in the middle of a desert near Blythe, Arizona. And, yeah, I lost control of my whole right side of my body. It didn't work. And I'm sitting in a van in the middle of the desert, thinking I was stroking out. And helicopters are flying above, ambulances going up and down the dirt road trying to find me, and I had a very dark van parked way in a dark spot. I was hitting blinkers as best that I could. I couldn't even get up to the front seat for the most part. I would open the door and shut it with my left hand, because my right side had quit working. I didn't think I would make it to that birthday. That was 3 days before my birthday. I thought, I'm not making it. I'm not making it, man. Because I always believe you're going to die around your birthday. Elliot did. His wife did. My grandma did. My sister, my mother. So anyway, yeah, I'm sure there's the exception to that rule. So anyway, if you have any questions at all about what I've gone through and what I've had to go through, and it's not over, I had to call and shut off his cable. My cable was in his name as a payee. Yeah, I was on the account as a payee, but it was through CenturyLink. My husband was through Cox. So I had to call Cox, get that shut off. And you know what? I didn't have a final bill because his bill was paid through the 17th of July because I paid that bill in June. Okay, next, his phone bill was paid through the 21st of July because I paid it in June when I had to go pay all of his bills. So I got really lucky with those final bills. There is no final bills. Our phone provider, we only had 6 months left on a 2-year contract, and because of his death, they dropped it, which was wonderful. I had already gotten a new phone with a different company in my name. Again, I always had my phone in my name. 2 years ago, he goes, "Hey, let's do this." And I was like, "Okay, what the hell?" If it'll help you live cheaper, absolutely sign me up. So, and my internet, I had to change to my name. And I've been paying the bill all along anyway, so they said, we kind of figured. So that was the extent of his final bills, except for his apartment. And you guys, I want to tell you what. I'm so glad I'm not the one cleaning that bathroom. Just saying. That was horrific. I'd rather go to an outhouse than that man's bathroom. Bless his heart. Bless his heart. May he rest in peace. There was shit everywhere. And it wasn't even his fault. Dirty diapers. The apartment was so disgusting. And I went twice a week and cleaned. But whatever he did from Tuesday when I was there cleaning, mopping, vacuuming, dishes, dusting, I didn't touch that bathroom. No. Whatever he did from Tuesday to Friday, when there was moldy stuff in the sink. Now, when I would go over, I went over twice a week at the time, sometimes 3, depending on if I had to pay bills or shop for him. But this particular week, when I went over on Tuesday, I had done all of his dishes. He didn't even have that many he couldn't eat. I think he had a cereal bowl or something. But this time, there was actual pots and pans. I don't know how he did it. But I'm so thankful because the day I was moving his stuff out of that apartment, and I told the manager I'll leave the keys inside, she told me she would take care of it. So I imagine that they'll take all of his deposit and apply it to the cleaning fees. It was actually my deposit. I'm good with that. I'm really good with that. For reals. I am really good with that. Yeah. As long as his estate is settled, that's what I care about. And it is. And it wasn't. When they lost the death certificates, I think that was the most stressful moment in my life. What do you mean? I have to have that paperwork. You know, I had to prove to these companies he was gone. To his insurance, to his food stamps, to his insurance, to the phone company, to the cable company, to the landlord. I had to prove that the man had passed. You know, I got to have those death certificates. Chase wouldn't even think about closing out that account, but they did put a block on it so I couldn't take any money out at the time. Matter of fact, they put that account $1 million in the hole so I or anybody else could take money out of it. Blew my mind when I got that notification. I said, $1 million? The guy didn't have 10 cents to his name. No. Just kidding. You know what? He did me good. He left me money. I'm thankful. Yeah, it paid for moving his stuff. It paid for all the other stuff I had to pay for. Cab rides, Ubers, hospital visits, lunches. Yeah. So, as I start a new senior moment in my life as a widow, I'm thinking about finding maybe a widow's club. It's a thought. So I'm not real sure, you guys, what my next video will be about. I do want to show you how I put on a wig. I want to show you how I prep a new wig. I want to explain to you why I wear synthetic hair, not human hair. Yeah, I'm going to actually put the wig on camera. Yeah. I'll tell you about my eyebrows somewhere around there. There's some recipes that I have that I want to show you guys, like a pie made from Ritz crackers. It's delicious. So we'll be doing some recipes. If you guys can think of any subjects as seniors that you want to talk about, bring them up. Put them down below in the comments. And by the way, for the algorithm, I'm not looking to make money off this channel. I am looking for companionship and friendships. Yeah, and a little excitement. That comes along with the troll here and there. Just saying. Yeah. So anyway, if you have any ideas, just leave them in the comments. But for the algorithm, I would appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down. It don't matter. It still talks to the algorithm. Leave an emoji if you don't have a comment. And if you have any ideas of what we could talk about, leave it below. Again, I'm working to get, I think they just increased it to 1,500 subs, 5,000 view minutes in a month now. YouTube just raised it to get monetized. But I'm not even looking at the can't say it. I'm not looking for the money. Okay. I would like to do lives so that we could be on here talking to each other. That's what I'm interested in, because I think input, instead of me talking at you, us talking together is what I'm after. So let's try and work on getting that subscriber thing up so we can have an open forum. And yeah, I'm not going to charge. For memberships, what the hell? I just want to be able to be live and talk to you guys, and you guys to talk to me. I think that would be absolutely wonderful to finally get to know you and speak with you. And yeah. Anyway, I'm going to let you go. It's raining out today. Yeah. My little house is still chaos, but so is my mind. Say goodbye to Sissy, my Gissy. Say bye-bye, Sis. Hey, you. You and your big old bone. She loves these. It's a rib bone. I got these at the dollar store, 2 for $1.25. And she's been munches on it from time to time. And it's not pork. I know, is it good? Is it good? I know. You guys, she's so precious. She's so precious. Hair and all, allergies and all. My girl, she's burying her head in my shoulder. You know what? I'm telling you, dogs know. Because when Elliot was dying, and even after he died, this little dog she would just curl up in my arms and bury her nose in my armpits and hug me. With doggy hug. Like that. Have a great day, you guys. Remember to love yourselves. Because if you don't love you, ain't nobody going to love you. Do something kind for somebody, even if it's to say good morning. Okay? Because I'm the world's biggest bitch. And I still can find kindness in my heart. Just saying. Do something nice for people. Peace out. Till next time. Bye-bye.